All right, here we are on our fourth lesson. It just went so fast, and I will be calling you because I've been talking to the center, and I guess there's a possibility we can start painting here, and we'll talk about that when I call you. And it's so nice everybody's tuning in to join with our last lesson. Gee, everybody's looking at my painting and it's like, what happened there? Well, if you remember last week, we had the yellow dot, the red, and then the blue around it. Well, when I went home, and we had put the darker around it for the sky, I had that in my mind, and if you remember, I had drawn, there was a sketch of a barn on there. So this is when I went home, I painted this barn, and I just call it a star barn. And this, I left this here. I could have done this, but I went ahead. See how that looks like snow? So, oh, geez, that would be a great thing to use for a Christmas card. And I could put, Grandma's house in there or something. There's just, our possibilities. This underpainting is just making my painting do things that I couldn't make it do. Again, this looks like snow, but if I take my colors now, and, you just take your minute, and you think of these colors that are here, put a little red in that too. But you can go ahead and put some, just start giving your insinuation of grass, because this is grass. This is not snow, but I left it like that so you could see it, and I wanted you to see it. But I'm still over painting, and I'm just using some orange, some cad red, and some yellow ochre. And I'm just going to go ahead and act like I've got a little wheat field here. And what happens when I go over these shadows with this color, it's just going to make it look like it's in the dark of the picture. So that's where our underpainting is kind of setting the mood for this painting. And that's what I'm trying to teach you. I want you to put some things under there and see what comes up. I'm going to go ahead and put some more weeds right in here. The light's hitting it a little more, so I'm going to put a little more yellow ochre in it. And we always have to think about that lighting and where it's coming from and what we want it to do. But now I'm turning the snow just by, it's that same colors, and I'm reusing them, only I'm just painting some wheat. Okay. Now I wanted to show you another thing with this too. As I keep going, I can, like I said, as this color changes, it's almost like the wheat's in its own. It's got its own shadow already. I didn't have to put shadow color in that wheat because now I have this underpainting that's already there. Put some right here. But you see how I'm turning the snow to wheat, okay? Then another thing we talked about is cropping. And so when I went home, I just found, and defining. I wanted to define, like, I left all this stuff just so I could show you too. Or, I could have painted the whole thing. I was having so much fun with how the barn turned out. I just had so much fun with that color. See, I'm learning some new techniques too, just by pushing myself with you. But the defining points. So you would go in here, and what I mean by that is I need a little bit of more definition right here. And let our eyes tell us. Let our eyes see for ourselves. I'm going to make this look like a piece of broken something coming down on that roof. Things aren't always perfect around a barn, Sometimes Dad got busy and he didn't get a chance to get to everything. But see how I'm defining right over, this is almost like an underwash too. I'm just going to define the top of these boards a little more because you remember now it is dark. But look how that just popped that building forward now. And then you let your eyes kind of work around that. And you let yourself, you got to get back enough to see what you're doing. You know, sometimes pull back and look. All right, I hope I helped you with that. And I wanted to tell you, you could use the same technique with a flower. Put your colors in there with a flower. Use your spray bottle. You don't need to use salt. I use salt because I was thinking of stars. I decided I was inspired by the comet last week. So, but my stars, they could be snow. You could turn it to snow. But when you crop, I found this little piece of paper here, this little frame, and you can. What happens is it brings it all together. And I'm excited about finishing the wheat and just add a few more accents. But I'm going to title this Star Barn, and I just had a lot of fun with it, and I hope you have fun with something that you did too. And again, when we do that depth defining, sometimes you can leave, when you put your frame or your mat around something, it makes you see things. It brings it together. Okay, so I'm just coming here, and I just added a little there. You know, and you just want to remember this is a dark scene, but it's those little defining spots that'll help it pop, okay? And we learn that, and how do we learn that? We learn that by painting and letting our eyes get used to this medium. This is hard stuff. Watercolor, I've heard, is one of the hardest mediums when you take it in a college. I always have people say, oh, I was kind of scared of that class. Another thing you can use on the grass, I'm using just a thin brush, but you can use your rigger on that too. If you're doing long grass, your rigger will just pull it out. I might even go back here in the front, and I'm going to just pull up a little yellow grass along with the shadows, because we have shadows in this picture that are kind of ruling it. We're over here on the dark side today. All right, see how that had come along? I'm just excited about finishing that. And, maybe someday I will. Now, little mistakes, like I can see where I kind of went out of the line a little bit right there. And I can fix that with just a little lift. I'm going to just make sure I have clean water. And I'm going to tickle this right here, because that's where I went off. And then I'm just going to lift it. And I might have to do it more than once. That's okay. I have time. I know it's a little bit wet now, so I don't want to mess with underneath. So I'm just going to touch it very softly and blot it. And I can get that all straightened out just like that. Okay? Our water is our main component in this game. And if you remember, I want you to, if you wet your paper with your dark and put a little salt on, do it with a bunch of different sheets and see how they react. To me, these are going to really look like stars by the time I'm done. And if I name it, people will just say, oh, those are stars. So I want to just do a little more wheat over here. And it just kind of, gives you time to do it. And, who's in a hurry? I don't know. I have a lot of time on my hands these days. So I hope you have fun with whatever you did. Another thing I wanted to suggest is, I just got to give you suggestions. I'm pushing you. How about a dark center? Put your blue in the middle. Then maybe your yellow, then maybe your red, and see what you could make with that. Don't be afraid to try things, because sometimes when we try things, we surprise ourselves. And I think we're ready for some surprises, right? Yeah. Okay, so Star Barn. And again, propping it up. I bring it together with a little bit smaller frame. Even move it down and I'll get that water in there more, I'm pretty sure. So when I cut a mat, I would want to cut it that way. I thought this one line I have right here, I thought maybe I'd put some fence posts in there to look like it's a shadow from a fence post. So I'm trying to use that underneath to inspire me with my barn. Okay, star barn. So I had fun with that. And this is when we started, and I had put the misket. There was misket on it. And I rubbed it off now. I'm still feeling a little bit of it. But our idea, remember we tried to paint leaves without painting leaves. And it kind of looks like leaves now. I just am really amazed. Sometimes my own paintings will surprise me. The next part of this is where I'm going to take the blue that we used and I'm going to bring it up to the leaves a little bit. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to get it up to the leaves so we know that we have a sky and our leaves, and then we're going to paint this tree that's in here. This is our underpainting, and now we're going to enhance it. So for my sky, I had used the ultramarine blue. Now get some of that out. Make sure my brush is clean. And I'm going to get some ultramarine. And we put just a dab of purple in there. And put a little of that fruit blue or cobalt blue. All right, I think we got it there. Now, again, I'm just going to go up to the leaves. This is almost like just a wash. Very light color, but we know it's a nice, it looks like a summer blue sky, right? With maybe a little haze in it like we've had lately. That smoke has been something. Getting smoke already. All right, so there's sort of a little barrier right here already. Just because the paper's dry. Find out that your paper will set barriers for you sometimes. That feels a little full. Put some blue in there, a little darker. A little darker, I just put another bit of dab of wash on my brush. I'm holding it up so it's settling. And we just lift that with we can move it around with our paintbrush, or we dry our paintbrush off and let it lift off. Okay, that's a tree trunk there. Yes, I got to bring it a little closer. My drawing's so light I can't see it. Good, I think I got it now. Okay, now I'll go up here. Again, I want to make sure my paintbrush is clean. Get into that light wash, and I'll go around the sleeve. I don't really want to touch them at all because I really like the way they painted themselves. That's when you figure out that they can paint themselves better than you can paint them. Okay, I'm kind of blending it into the sky. Just softly. Remember soft. We loosen up and we lighten up. My edge right here, if I tickle it, I can move it. And there it comes alive. Watercolors are so wonderful that way. You can just revive them. So now we're painting around the leaves. This will take a little time, but we're just going to do it here pretty quick. Yep, there we go. Trying to wake it all up. Don't want to touch the leaves. That could even be a little cloud in there once we get some branches in. I'm going to go over. I might have to mix up a little more paint. I'll put the fruit blue now. I'm going to put some ultramarine, cobalt blue, ultramarine, dash of purple, real strong purple. And now I'm going to bring them in. Just make it nice, little light wash, all three. Introduce them. Here we go. Around these. I can paint right over the branch, where the branches are going to be, because they'll be darker, and that's okay. I'll let this dry, and it'll go right on there. See how that's working? And as we come down, let's see. Nice and easy. Right up to the leaves. Well, it's just a fun little project, isn't it? Look at that little leaf we got there. It's a different color. I like that. I could have stayed up for 3 weeks and not come up with that one. That's why the magic of our watercolors thing. They come up with their own colors that are just totally amazing. You have to stay up all night to think of that. Nice and easy. It's my brush now because I want to bring it closer to the leaves, but I don't want to mess up with that. So now look how I just put some water. I'm using the color, I'm using the paint that's on there. And it's not that set yet, so it'll still move, but I want to just get it a little closer. See how just that, what I did is I took it up almost to the leaf. And then I stopped, and now I'm pushing it a little more. Okay, come down. The sky lightens as I come down. Lighter, more water. So I'm just going to add more water to my colors. I see a branch kind of sticking out there. That's what we'll paint then. That's our last color. We're always, the thing about watercolors, it makes you think. You have to think from the lightest part of your painting to the last part is your dark. My biscuit was old, and I still see a little yellowing from it. But you know how it is these days, you use what you got. That's what I did. I'm just using what I got at home. I got paint on there. Now I'm just going to use water. Put it on down, nice and soft. The thing I liked about the 140 is it's not as expensive. And right now I'm having so much color with so much fun with letting my colors run together. I'm really trying not to control it. All right, do we have all the? Oh, I see one more spot. This is where you have to look and make sure. See, there's some blue in here. Don't touch those leaves, Gail, because they're already perfect, just the way they are. I just want to establish where this tree is going to be. Maybe a branch coming out. There you go. Okay. Back to water. I have the paint on there. Now I'm just going to bring it down. We're almost there. Just got that sky in. put a little more glue right over here. Just like that. Water. Just blend it in. My paper's acting a little strange because of that biscuit. And you know about biscuit, don't shake it. Because then you'll have glue, then you have rubber. So just be very careful with it. It's not cheap. Okay, definitely got a sky established there. One more little bit right in here. Just making some layers in these clouds. I want to soften it. Yeah, we got a, not sure, this is what the biscuit did right here. Not sure, I'm gonna try one more layer on it. Okay, we'll just pause for 1 second.